What's up, Instagram? How we doing? It's Greg here at Fisherman's Headquarters, checking in to say hello. This evening, we've got a close friend and local angler, Lee, SaltwaterHeartFishing. Hopefully going to jump on here in a little bit. Just wanted to run a couple things down before I introduce him and bring him on. So some good news. Not sure if you guys have heard yet, but there's some openings, some beach access on LBI. It's not entirely open yet, but I really haven't heard anybody from day one getting hassled. So to the most part, I think it's fair game just about everywhere. But there are some fish on the beach, which is one of the good kind of things I wanted to mention tonight. I heard a couple reports today and also yesterday. Some guys chunking bunker off the surf, Mid-Island Beach, and also there's a lot of fish in the bay side. So if anybody wants to check out the fishing report, fishinglbi.com will be live. I'll put a new post up probably tonight, say maybe in a couple hours once things settle down after I post this and answer a few questions, because normally after the Instagram live there's always a few questions that come around. So Lee, if you're there, man, reach out, just give me a wave or whatever, jump on. So the island Sullycast, the island is not entirely open. You said it's still closing on residents. Surf City and Barnegat Light have been open and still are open. So yeah, if you want to fish, that's good. And also Barnegat Light State Park just opened back up. So if you want to get up in the inlet and fish up there, we should have some bluefish here soon. There's been a couple reports of them, mostly smaller cocktails. I'll give some more details on that blog. So if you want to check that out, fishinglbi.com. I'm going to try to get Lee on here. But anybody who doesn't know, Lee is an awesome dude, saltwater angler, super passionate. We'll hopefully have a little conversation. Yo, dude.
What's up, bud?
What's happening, bro? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks so much for jumping on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So, dude, I wanted to, we talk, regularly, and we fished in the past and not really recently, but that's cool. Hopefully we'll get together sometime soon once this quarantine's over.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And have some fun.
I'm ready.
You're ready, dude. All right. So one of the things I find so unique about you is, you fish like all different waters, right? You're like, you're dialed in with freshwater, you're fishing big game, the surf, kind of everywhere in between. And you're super, super passionate about all those different species and kind of like all those different, we'll say, techniques and different applications. So kind of one of the things I wanted to ask you, man, is like, how did you get into fishing and kind of like, where does the passion all come from?
Well, I guess it started, for a lot of us when we were younger. I can say that I do a lot more now than back then, but it kind of grew. Started growing up fishing with my dad. We would go down, do some charter trips into Cape May, the Delaware Bay. We would go out of Cape May, and we did a lot of, back trolling the rips in Cape May, just off of Cape May. So that kind of started the saltwater thing. And then, our summers we would spend in Ocean City doing some back bay flounder fishing. And
Cool.
And from then, we'd do some vacations here and there, Poconos. We'd do some bass fishing. And I guess the last however many years, you probably know Joel and Seth, my two brothers.
Yeah.
We kind of all feed off each other. Like if one guy can't go, the other guy can go. We're always, let's go here, let's go there. And I feel like kind of just the more we do it, the more we enjoy it, and can't get enough of it.
That's awesome. So something that's kind of cool, like I have a sister, she really doesn't fish much. She gets out and fishes sometimes, but it's awesome that you have basically, two brothers that share the same passion as you. And, it seems like you always have a fishing buddy. It's not like you're going to call a friend, they're going to flake out or something. It's like, dude, let's go.
Yeah.
Brotherly love, let's roll. Yeah.
I honestly say, like, there's not a time when at least one or the other, if not both of them, are ready to roll with, when the time comes, or the tide you like, one of them's available. So I feel pretty blessed to have that.
That's awesome.
At least.
Yeah. So I noticed, like, you guys have somewhat of a travel to get, say, down to Ocean City, right? Or to LBI, or sometimes you're fishing further north. Like, how far is the drive for you to get to the salt water?
The quickest, it's kind of funny because at any point that we would travel from where we at in Philly, It's like just over an hour, whether it's South Jersey, Central Jersey, North Jersey, like everywhere you go, it's like about the same distance.
1 hour.
So yeah, it's usually a little longer, depending on what time of day or traffic.
Yeah.
But it's, that's pretty much what you figure about an hour. It's not terrible,
Cool. It's good that you always got a wingman to jump in with you and share the drive or whatever.
Yeah, you drive one way and let them drive back. That kind of works out pretty well.
So I remember, man, one time, I guess it was, I was thinking back about this when we talked earlier, that I guess it was you and Seth chartered me. I guess it was 2018 maybe, right?
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just remember that, it was a really, really fun day, dude. We caught a lot of fish, and I don't know if like expectations were like off the charts going into the day.
Right.
I really can't remember that part of it, but maybe you recall something there. But I just remember getting out there. We had fish, almost the whole session, man. It was good.
Yeah. Well, I do remember when you said that about the expectations, like you said about like, and I don't know how you guys are feeling, but like if we need to get some live bait, like some spot or something, like we'll go do that. I'm like, at that point, I'm thinking like, all right, well, maybe, I don't know what to expect for that day, but we're like, we're not like live bait guys. Like if we can get them on plugs and bucktails and stuff, like let's go that route if we have to. Like we're okay with that. We want to catch fish.
Yeah.
But then I just remember, like you said, our best window is going to be right before sun up.
Yeah.
And there's a few other boats, we got out there, and literally whether it was half hour before the sun was actually coming up, we were casting bucktails at the rocks, and it was like every other cast we were hooking up.
No, you guys are dialed in.
Yeah, I think at that point, like we were like, we didn't know what to expect, and then it didn't take long. Like we were on the fish thanks to you. You kept on bumping us in the spot and everything. But
it was all you guys, man. You guys were swinging them in there.
Yeah, it was. I think we like took a couple of casts, and you're like, I think you guys can handle these, these like conditions with those rocks and all. But once we figured out what weight bucktail, that was all that it took. I remember like the bite kind of slowed down like after the sun came up a little bit, and there started to get more boats out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that were fishing live spot, but like
I remember. You're right. You're right.
I think that like our bucktails were still out producing the live spot. Like those guys would get right on top of the rocks and drop them down. But I remember we were still pulling in some fish when they would get, every so often they would pick one up. But I remember the bucktails were on it. I remember that. You remember that one bucktail that you were like, here, take this bucktail. He said, this is a gem. This has been the Montauk. This is one you tied.
It might have been, man. I think I kind of remember.
Pictures. It looked like it had some mojo to it. Like it was caught a lot of fish.
Was that the one that was in the photo, you think, that I posted?
I didn't look close to that photo, but I know I have some close-up of that bucktail. I'll send it to you later.
All right, cool.
I remember. A bullhead.
Okay, dude, it was. I just remember just catching, like, every time we put the boat in the spot, you guys were just putting them in there and just getting bites, like almost every caster. If it wasn't right away, it was as you guys were swinging through. And there were so many times when I was just looking back at photos to kind of give a post to, kind of a countdown for our chat.
Right.
Where like, oh, they're doubled up. They're doubled up again. Dude, they're doubled up again. It's like, dude, they're doubled up the whole day.
Yeah, it was a good time. I think once the bite did kind of cut out, like the sun came up.
Yeah.
Let's go into the back, and we hit some of the flats in the back, and some of the creeks. We got some. We did a little fly fishing, did some little X wraps, and caught some fish in the back. They weren't quite as big as
the smaller ones.
Fish out front, but they're still fun. Still found a bite when we needed to.
You guys were dialed in. It seemed like a lot of people like they catch fish and they're all of a sudden like, oh cool, we caught a couple, let's go in.
Yeah.
No, man, we're here for the day, bro. Like we're gonna catch the hell out of these things. If we're fishing the tide here, as the tide moves, we'll fish over there. We roamed around and made it happen. So I'm stoked that we got together and we could put that together. Maybe next time we fish will be just as good.
Yeah. I look
definitely hard to top it, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. You're dialed in too, so that's one thing.
I try, man. I try. It's hard, dude. Everything's always changing.
Yeah, but you kind of see the patterns though. Like you know what's going on. That's one thing I appreciate about you is like you're in touch with this, you're in touch with that. You talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time on the water, and you know you can see that you put a lot of time and hard work into it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's not easy. Definitely not easy. That's for sure.
Nah,
It's not roll up to a spot and first cast and, oh, I got one.
yeah,
And sometimes it happens, but not always.
every
Uh,
once in a while.
yeah. So dude, like you mentioned fly fishing there before. I know like if people scroll through your Instagram feed and stuff, they'll see, some stripers you got in the fly, some fluke and stuff. And I assume like you'll probably also spend some freshwater time fly fishing maybe a little bit. Like when did you get involved with fly fishing? Is that recently or have you been doing it for a while?
It's been maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Cool.
Um, it's
That's kind
kind
of
of
when I kind of got more passionate about fly fishing too. I'd say about
yeah,
4 or 5 years ago.
it was kind of a thing where like over the winter time, like I was fishing some PA streams, and some would get shut down, uh, except for the fly fishing only. So I was like, well, if I want to fish, I'm gonna get a fly rod. So I got a 5-weight fly rod, and then I started like talking to some people, and they're like, come along with me. I'll show you what it what it takes. And a lot of the small streams, like you don't really need to cast, like learn to fly cast. It's a lot of just roll cast and
Okay.
learning to not get any drag in your drifts and stuff. But then another one of my good friends, and I'm sure you know as well, Crazy Alberto.
Yeah.
He he kind of knew that I was getting into it and wanted to pick it up. So we're fortunate enough to fish with him down in Florida, and he's like, bring your fly rod. He's like, we're gonna do some casting. I'm like, all right, this is pretty special. He learned from Lefty,
Yeah.
so I'm like, yeah, you don't take that for granted. So
No, passing all that knowledge down, man. That's awesome. You can soak that in.
yeah, and then so we were doing some freshwater fishing down there, and my two brothers, Joel and Seth, they were chasing after some peacock bass, and
Oh,
like we were fishing the same spots as they were, but like I wasn't really fishing. I was kind of just casting, like trying to learn. And then once I finally like was able to put a couple casts where I could cast 20 yard, whatever it would be,
yeah.
not that far at the time, but
That's how you start, right?
yeah, I just remember, like, I laugh about it every time I think about that time, because it was like literally 98 degrees, and I had long sleeve and pants on, like, just because from the keeping out of the sun.
Yeah.
And he's like, Alberto's, just, all right, cast again, all right, cast again. And at that point, like, I was doing so much wrong motion in my arms, like my shoulders about to fall off. Like
He's
I was,
pushing you.
yeah. And so that's something that I'll never forget. That since then, like by the end, I was literally casting for like 3 hours straight in the hot sun, and I was like sweating, and I'm like, I need a break, man. But then before that trip was over, we hopped up to the next spot, and I caught my first peacock on the fly.
Oh, killer.
So that was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah,
And
those are so beautiful, man. Those fish are
yeah,
unreal.
and they
I've never
they
caught
fight
one, but that's an
they
awesome notch.
fight really hard. They like a 4 pound peacock is like a 6 or 7 pound largemouth. Like the
Really?
way they fight, they're a fun time. A lot of it's like sight fishing, because you roll up to a spot, like they're right along the edge, or you see them and you kind of just carefully stalk up to them, and you see them, like you just put your lure or your fly, and you just like you see the reaction strike. So they're pretty fun to chase.
I didn't know you're actually sight casting those things.
Sometimes you don't, but a lot of times
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, a lot of times
Cool.
you're.
You're fishing the drainage ditches. That's where it seems like you
Yeah,
always see the. I mean,
yeah,
I know nothing about peacock, bass
yeah.
fishing.
They're in all the canals down there.
Yeah.
Pretty much South Florida.
That's cool. That's awesome. You guys went down there and caught some. I know a lot of people want to catch them just because they're such pretty fish.
Yeah.
Take a cool photo with them. That's awesome.
But since then, since that trip, I kind of like, all right, well, if I can do that with fly rod, I want to catch stripers on the fly. And then we'd spent some summers that we were jetty hopping, catching fluke right up in the.
Okay.
You're right next to the jetties. Like I'm sure you've done that before with bucktails and stuff. So I'm like, if I know that I can get these on the fly, most of the fluke that we catch are like 2 feet off the rocks and
Yeah.
shallow water. So I'm like, I know that you can be done on the fly. So I did that. I think you were like the first guy I sent you a picture. I'm like, hey, look what just happened.
No, I remember
That,
that.
yeah, that was a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember you sent me a photo on the beach with a fluke, and I was stoked. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that was the first one. That was pretty pumped. Just that was my first fluke on the fly. So it's
Yeah.
like everything is just another challenge, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's like you figure out something on spinning gear, and be like, all right, well I can kind of translate that to maybe I could put a fly in front of them,
Yeah.
and everything's more fun on the fly once you experience it. It's a lot more finesse, and
It's not
it's
easy, but
no, it's not easy, but when it's
yeah.
rewarding. Like like I'd love to catch a 20-pound bass on the fly. You know what I mean? Like just I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely not easy, but like you said, you put your mind to it, you figure it out in the spin tackle, and eventually you'll make it work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you put enough time in wherever whatever you're fishing, whatever you're doing. So I mean, you put your mind to it, you'll make it happen.
yeah, kind of going like spurts, like where it's like, all right, well, let's do a lot of fly fishing, and then you get out of it, but that like yet it doesn't totally go away. You're like, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
back to that soon, and like I don't feel like I'm a fly angler you know like a lot of these guys that are strictly, but I enjoy that just as much as spinning gear, whatever, freshwater, saltwater. Like it's just a small section of what I love.
Yep, yep. No, it's cool. It's awesome. Like I said before, you're like super well rounded. Like I know nothing about freshwater, man. I'm not gonna beat around the bush or lie about it. I know zero about freshwater. I'm sure I
Right.
can, get pretty dangerous at a lake. Man, I've caught a couple
Yeah.
pickerel and some largemouth bass at some local hole in the walls around town, but I've never done much freshwater fishing. Just my experience is
Yeah.
super
Well, I
super.
feel like it's the same thing. Like if you spent that even like half the amount of all of the time you spent in the salt, like you would start figuring those out. Like you would start figuring
Yeah.
out the patterns and all that stuff. And it's just a matter of like what you put your time into. You know what I mean? Like you if you spent as much time as I would or anybody would in the freshwater, like you'd be like
Figured out.
dialed. Yeah, you'd die like you would get it, no doubt.
Yeah. So
But
I'm
then
just
you
gonna
kind
I'm gonna
of
scoot through these some of these messages here and just see if there's anything. I just saw a few of them kind of fired in. Looks like your bro said yo pickle. He's so yeah, there's just some people saying hi and stuff. I wasn't sure if there's any questions that kind of came through or not. I just didn't want to leave anybody hanging. Um,
yeah, I kind of don't even look at them while you're in the conversation.
Sorry, yeah, fishing with a PhD says what's up. So how's
Yeah,
it
he's
going,
a buddy
bro?
of mine.
Ricky out in Florida, down in Florida. He says legends. I don't know if I'm a legend, but thanks, brother, for throwing us in that category.
Yeah,
Thanks for
he's
joining
dialed
us,
in down in
buddy.
Florida now.
Yeah, he's probably peacocking, right?
Yeah,
Um,
everything.
so yeah, there's not really many questions other than that one I mentioned before about the access. So if anybody's got questions, cool, fire 'em at us. If not, we're just gonna kind of kick back and chat and do our thing. Cedar Run Lures says nighttime session. I'm all about a nighttime session. I'm not sure if that was a question, but Blake's definitely dialed in with nighttime sessions and lures.
Yeah, gotta get out with you soon, Blake.
Yeah. So the fish are kind of showing up, man, which is good. I mean, we've had a lot of fish in the back bay here. I know
Yeah,
you've been roaming to some other areas, right? You've been finding some
yeah,
fish.
yeah. Finding some fish here and there.
Awesome.
Trying not to blow up any spots or anything, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, we don't need to do that. But on
yeah. I mean,
LBI, there's definitely some fish showing up. I just heard some guys chunking some bass off the beach.
yeah,
I mean, there's potential. We do some nighttime sessions with some plugs here soon and make it happen. Um, I'm kind of in a pickle right now, potentially selling my boat and stepping up. So I'm thinking about putting it in the water. I was gonna put it in like a week or two ago, and I'm probably gonna toss it in this week and get out there and hit these flats and have some fun.
yeah.
So Blake wants to go, dude. He says let's do it. So
All right.
might want to shout out to Blake and say what's up and get on it. But so yeah, cool. I had a couple questions like we mentioned, a couple things about like your passion and what it was like kind of fishing with your brothers, which is super cool. So what would you say as far as fishing you've caught so far? Like what would you say is like your favorite catch on a fly rod? Just like say one
Um.
species or story behind it or anything like that.
Yeah. Let me think. I would say that fluke on the fly was pretty good
Yeah.
because I feel like I had that or I thought that I had that figured out. Like I was like, I know I can do this by doing that, like certain things. And basically, like you throw on clouds or minnow, like we're getting these fish on bucktails, and I'm like, it's not something that you really hear about, like guys going after fluke on the fly.
No, you're right.
And then I kind of just like, all right, I know this can happen. And literally, like it was my second or third cast out in the jetty, and I'm like, I'm hooked up. So that was like,
That's
it
awesome.
wasn't a huge fish or anything, but I'm like, all right, this is really cool.
That was awesome.
Another one that I thought was pretty wild was we were kind of just on the beach chilling, and there's all these cow nose rays coming into the surf, and then my brother Seth's like, yo, go grab your 8-weight. I'm like, wait a second, like, do you think they would eat a fly? And I'm like, let's try it. So I ran off the beach. I literally jogged off the beach because I didn't have it on the beach with me, and it was a couple days in a row. They're like, the water was so clear, and you could just see them cruising right in the surf, and it was like a little pocket. So I started throwing a clouser, and I ended up catching a few. That was pretty cool.
Really? They spoil you?
No, they weren't huge fish. I had an 8-weight, but they were, I don't know, maybe 16 inches across. Like they weren't monster fish.
Okay.
But that was pretty cool. It's another thing where like you don't really hear like guys targeting them or going after them on the fly, but I was just like, well, why not? Like that would be fun if I could do that. Like why not try it? So
that's what it's all about, man, having fun.
Yeah.
So Ricky says first night we met, and an exclamation point. I'm not sure if that was a question. Maybe the first night he met you. Was it an epic fishing session?
He's probably talking about the first night we met him. We were hopping a ride in his boat in the back bay in New Jersey, like southern Jersey.
Yep.
And we kind of knew each other through like social media, but he's like, I'm gonna put you guys on some fish. He was pretty dialed in, like it was some nighttime fishing.
That's cool.
And it was Joel and Seth and I. We hopped in the little 18, 19-foot boat in the back bay, and we caught some pretty. It was right around one of the moons. I forget which one, but we had an idea that it was going to be pretty good. And I think Seth caught about, like, I don't know what size, maybe 28-inch weak fish.
Oh, really?
It was like maybe like Memorial Day area.
Yeah, it's what your brother just said, Memorial Day weekend.
And I think we all caught some nice bass. I think the biggest one, I think Seth also caught that, was close to like 32 inches, which is pretty nice for the back bay, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
with weak fish that's killer. That's killer.
We caught probably over 30 bass that night in that one session.
Awesome. That's actually what your bro just said. He just said over 30 bass. So it's good, you guys. Your stories, your stories of line. They're not the average fishing story, right? You got some honesty here.
Sometimes you kind of forget about those stories, and someone brings them up, and it just like opens up a whole flood of memories, and it's like, oh yeah, that was one of the greatest nights in a good while.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, that same thing happens to me with my phone. Like I'll start scrolling back at photos, and I'm like, dude, I forgot about that session. And to me, it's actually one of the ways I somewhat forecast or go about, like dialing in with what I'm going to do tomorrow or the next day or next week. Is I have this app called I think it's called Flashback, and I'll look at this day last year, this day, 2018, 2017. And as long as you have all the photos on your cloud or whatever, it helps me out. It's pretty sweet that I can scroll through there and I can say, all right, on whatever, May 5th, last year I did this, that year I did that, and I can kind of get a gauge for what I need to kind of prepare for.
It's kind of like a little bit of a logbook where you kind of go back and, like, it doesn't have all the details, but at least you know where you were. Like, you saw a fish in one of your pictures, you know where you caught that, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe that, you kind of figure out some stuff, especially if it's more than 1 year. You start to see the patterns again.
So this year, I shouldn't say this year, 2019, I started screenshotting my Tide app, Tide Graph Pro I use. So that photo will also show up with the fish, which has helped me out a lot. I wish I did that from
way back.
Yeah, I wish I started doing that in 2016, 2017, because I have photos, I think, go back to 2015 on my phone, I think. Yeah. I definitely have 2016 and 2017. But if I had all those screenshots with those fish, dude, it'd be so powerful. But
that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it works
That's
great for me
crazy.
because I'm not worried about my log unless I need to look at it. And
Yeah,
a lot of times I found I actually got Fisher Log, which is a log program from John Skinner. He offered that software, and I felt like I spent more time logging the data than I did using it to get the information out of it.
yeah,
And it's only as good as how much information you put in. Is only gonna the more you put in, the more you get out, right?
yeah,
And I just felt like I was wasting so much time putting it in, and I kind of gave up on it. And then out of nowhere, this app kind of popped up, and I didn't really like mean to, I guess, use it, but I
you weren't
just
like looking for it, kind of just like, hey, this is a good,
yeah,
useful thing to do.
and it found me.
Yeah,
So
that's really cool.
that's it's kind of off topic, but that's kind of something I do to help me kind of get my mind in the right place and kind of focus on this or that rather than being scatterbrains. When I'm looking to head out the next day
Definitely.
or that
Yeah,
day.
definitely. I know I've done it myself, just going back like, hey, I caught this really nice fish at X location. I wonder what day that was. You scroll back to last year or 2 years ago, and you'd be like, oh, it was April 15th. I know that there's probably some big fish right around that area if you're
Yep.
following the same pattern. So,
Put it all together.
yeah,
That's
that's a
cool.
great idea.
Yeah. So Ricky says we got to get to Florida. So yeah, dude, I know for sure I definitely get to Florida. I'm definitely bummed that iCast this summer is canceled, or I would be down there then. But appreciate the invite, dude. So maybe I'll reach out if I ever get back down there. I got some family down in Florida, so when
Yeah,
I do get back down there, I'm definitely looking forward to getting into some fishing.
Ricky's dialed in down there, so he'll put you on some fish for sure.
Cool. This guy says I caught a striper in the Charles River in Boston today. So shout out to this T. Ernst is from Boston reaching in here, checking us out. So thanks for joining. Really appreciate everybody, logging on and saying hello. Don't be afraid. Send some messages in. Big fish off Beach Haven Bay. That's cool. I like that. Definitely good to see some fish in the bay.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I know the drum fishing's actually been pretty good. I got a message in, I don't know, 2-3 hours ago. It was before I had dinner. Craig Hodder, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the name. He sent a photo in of a nice drum like last week, and then just sent one in today. So there's definitely some nice drum in the bay, some stripers in the bay that's been going on. And I mean, you mentioned weak fish before. It's kind of like weak fish time right now. So I haven't seen them myself, but there's definitely got to be a couple weak fish roaming around.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially
Yeah.
farther south.
Yeah. So there's not many other messages here. Actually, just popped in. Declan 188 says fish the inlet all day, and yesterday nothing. Going for stripers and blues. When will the inlet start producing? So the easiest answer for me to say is like now, any day. I'm not sure exactly what you're using, how much time you're putting in on what tides, but fish the outgoing tide. I'm pretty confident that Mother's Day is normally the time when you start seeing striped bass in the inlet. I mean, there are fish transiting, moving in and out of the bays. That's where they have to move through the inlet. There's fish coming up the beach. Don't give up on that inlet, man. I would definitely strongly suggest keep hitting it. So Anthony reached out and says, while talking to other fishermen the past few years, LBI surf isn't as good as it was before Sandy. Do you think it's because of all the dredging, destruction, small jetties? I'll keep this short and sweet and say, yes, the jetties, you just mentioned, Lee, that you just caught that fluke on that jetty, whatever town you're fishing. Structure is important. But I really think more than the structure on the beach, I think the lumps that are inshore affect how those fish migrate up the coast. And there were some lumps of beautiful, pristine sand where these fish in colder water times would kind of get up to sun, just like they sun in the bays. I think they also look for those warmer water and that structure on those lumps. And I just feel with them dredging the Harbor Cedars lump is one of them. Brant Beach lump is two of them. There's also some sand lumps off of Beach Haven. There's a kind of like south, mid, and almost north end of LBI. They kind of took all those down, and I think that's affected a lot of this, which kind of gets overlooked. Yeah, cool. So a couple other messages, something about skates and blowfish. So, and Blake says Sandy in both. I would say the reason is the fish patterns have changed. Dredging has got to have something to do with it for sure.
Yeah, some of those jetties that I was talking about getting those fluke off of, like literally the next season, that those spots weren't even there because of all the sand they they poured back on the beaches, and like, all right, well, there goes our three top spots. So, you know, you
Oh,
get fluke in the summertime. It was a couple years ago, but you know, hopefully soon that they start showing up, because that, you know, the weather and stuff eventually is going to wear back to what it was like a few years ago.
yeah, we just had a couple big swells recently, a couple big storms in the past, say, month. And I definitely see a lot of beach erosion taking place. The beaches, though, a month ago were really, really big and long. And I mean, I guess they're still somewhat long, but I definitely saw a lot of erosion the past couple swells. So hopefully we'll start seeing some new cuts and stuff like that popping up. Yeah, so this gentleman here, I'm not sure who it is, L.A. Latour, 17. Early season fluking best in the bay or out front. So my experience is in the bay, and then I think out front is better, more so in the fall. I'm not sure what your feelings are on that,
I
but
feel like later in the season, yeah, definitely ocean later in the season. I think that has more to do with water temperatures. Wouldn't you say that?
yeah, I would say that. There's something about their migration pattern too, where they come into the bay. I don't know if that's where they spawn. I'm not that in depth. My knowledge isn't that in depth with fluke and their patterns that much, but they definitely come in the back bays in the spring. There's already been numbers of fluke caught locally here, but also probably elsewhere in New Jersey. Um, but they're around in the summertime. But it seems like in the fall they really stage up along the surf. Kind of we start getting some mullet moving around, some of that summertime bait patterns. Um, Whether they're eating the little snapper blues or eating the mullet, eating a little peanut bunker. But I've done best fluke fishing in the ocean, near shore, and along the beach in the fall. So, but there's no rule saying you don't fish the beach in the spring for fluke. I mean, you could probably catch them in the inlet and the surf too. But yeah, I would focus in the bay personally.
I agree.
Yeah. And Jay Wald says, "Do you stick with gulp?" And I don't think you can go wrong when you're fluke fishing with gulp. I'm
Yeah,
sure you're not fishing on the fly rod, but hey man, gulp
the
it's
gulp
deadly.
is the way to go. Definitely.
Yeah. So Blake provided a little bit of information there, which is good. Some guys they're asking questions. So cool. Um, yeah, I don't know if you have any. I kind of was poking around. I wrote a couple questions down before we talked, just so I had a couple things. My mind didn't go kind of like
Yeah.
awry.
I had a couple of questions I was had written down. I was gonna ask you about just things. I know you have a extensive background, especially with, you know, in the surf. Um, so if now's a good time, I'll ask you
Yeah,
one
man,
of them.
fire
See
them at
both
me, dude.
those.
I like questions.
Yeah, I will.
Keep
So
me
I
on
was
my
gonna ask
toes.
you, like, if you know, you're plugging the beach, whether it's spring or even fall. Like, what's your mindset going into, like, what's your thought process if you're, I'll say, it could be an inlet, but not even necessarily an inlet, like just the open beach with some
So
pockets and cuts and troughs, and like, what's your mindset going in as far as plugging?
yeah, so I do a lot of surfing, right? So I spend a lot of time kind of scouting the beaches and scouting sandbars. So I think that to me is the two go kind of hand in hand, right? So I know kind of where some sandbars are and some shallower water. I also know where some deeper water is. Um, Now, with that said, you look at the two of them, sandbars and deep water. The fish aren't always on the sandbar, and they're not always in the deep water, right? Sometimes they can be different spots depending on the tide, things like that, where there's bait pushing around. Um, but those spots change. So to answer your question, my mindset going into it is I'm focused on a spot where I know there's water, and I know there's some sort of way that there's some structure staged up. And when I say water, I'm talking moving water. And when I say structure, it could be anything from a slough, a trough, a cut, a big sandbar, and kind of how those two things work together. That's really my main focus. It's not, obviously I'm thinking about what bait's around, thinking about what time of year it is. That's all somewhat primary. But when you're heading out to actually fish and put in, like, say, time on a session, um, to me, yeah, you can look at and you're kind of dealt certain things with, like the wind and the swell and moon and weather and all that. That all comes day to day, right? But to me, I think what's not really day to day is the tides are, but the tides are like they're predicted, right? It's not
Right.
like the wind where, oh, it's supposed to be west today and it's blowing south, or
Yeah.
the water was 50 yesterday and all of a sudden today it's 48.
Yeah.
It's not that's not true, but it happens.
Yeah.
There's always different variables, but to me, we're like kind of locked in, like, hey, we're going to go fish. We kind of know, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's around, this is what bait's here. It's early season, it's late season, whatever the timing is, and here's some things, some puzzle pieces that we got. But kind of to me, that the main thing that I really focus on and look for is going to be that structure and the water movement and how those two go together. And when I say that, there's certain times where I'll like an area better if the water's moving, say, this direction. And I don't want to say incoming or outgoing because it can be different times, different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that said, the two most important things I think are structure and water movement and how you read the water. So the fish don't always, in my opinion, stage at the same place on that structure. I think they can kind of change around. And I feel that from experience of fishing a couple different areas, or I should say a similar situation rather than a couple different areas, because one area, let's say 9th Street Beach is right up the street from the shop. That beach changes all the time, just like so many other beaches. I mean, you probably know a lot of beaches that you have, you know, kind of up your sleeve as like, hey, that's a little nook and cranny. I like fishing that. We've done good there. And you go back and it's like, dude, it's sanded in. Dude, there's a huge hole here.
That same cut is not there the next year, even the same later in the year or whatever. It's always constantly changing. Yeah.
So that to me is what the puzzle pieces that you need to put together as an angler. And to be honest, dude, it's probably one of those difficult things. It's difficult to dedicate time, but in all reality, if you think about it, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is cut that time out of whatever else you're doing in life. If you want to fish, you got to put the time in. And what's the reason why I say it's more difficult is putting those things together is once you show up, you let's say you have this 2 hours of time or an hour of time, or maybe you have the whole day. Well, now all of a sudden you turn that fishing trip into like a scouting trip and say, wait a second, I came here to fish, not scout. And then I think some people don't have the ability to scout, or don't have like some of the intel, like somebody will share and say, oh, look, there's some good water over here and here. Or you may have been someplace and somebody says, oh man, dude, that filled in with sand. This way you can check it out for yourself, but you don't waste all day, you know, let's say for LBI, driving from Holgate to Barnegat Light and back and forth all day looking for different spots to fish. So to me, that's one of the most difficult things, is finding places to fish. And then once you find them, figuring out, you know, are you there at the right time? Are you fishing the right lures? And trying to put that, I'll say, the rest of the puzzle pieces together.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing that I feel like it's kind of important to talk to people about, is like, there's a big thing with like spot burning. Like, nobody wants to blow up a spot, and for good reason. Yeah. But like, if I feel like if you feel like you can help somebody out, like, try and help them out in the sense that, like, figure out what makes this spot a good spot. Because you could go 50, 100 miles south and you could find the same spot because of the same setup, same tide, you know, like, figure out why a place is a good spot, and then they no matter where they are, they can they can find a good spot, and it's not like you're blowing up one spot. If they know on this tide, you know, there's bass going to be ambushing bait, you know, on the outgoing, because it comes around, you know, whether it's a jetty or a structure or whatever, then they know that, they understand that concept. They can find that somewhere else, or they could be in Florida, they can find that same thing. Yeah. You know, teach people, like, why a spot is a good spot, instead of blowing up, like, hey, go to X beach, there's going to be fish there every outgoing for the next 2 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that kind of stuff, it can help somebody fish and do well the rest of their life, where if you show someone a spot, as soon as that spot's gone, they're not catching fish the rest of the year. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. No, I think you definitely nailed it on the head. So there's a couple messages that came in. Dirty Diesel says, what's your website? So my name's Greg. I'm from Fisherman's Headquarters. So fishermansheadquarters.com. We're a bait and tackle shop in South Central New Jersey, located in LBI. The website I mentioned before was fishinglbi.com. That is a fishing report blog that personally I'm the admin of. I'm the author of a number of posts. Looking over here at my one computer screen, I got a post going up tonight at some point. But there's also other people that contribute there. There's one other question I wanted to mention. youngsters of 13, since you have a logbook of every time fishing. So I did. I don't really do it as much of that now. I just don't have the time. But going back, I use those photos in the Flashback app. And one other thing, Grab and Bass said that's why the back bay crowds are so much worse than out front, less seasonal change and weather influences. I would definitely agree with that. I also think back bay, you don't nearly have the same square footage or frontage of fishing spots. And the beach is just wide open. It's not like you have bulkheads and houses everywhere. With obviously the back bays, you've got an inlet. It's there that feeds it, or there's a sod bank that's here, or there's a beach that's there, or there's a bulkhead, or bridge. So it's more spot dependent in the bay, for me at least, I think, for land-based anglers. Obviously, in the bay, in the boat, you can kind of roam about. But I definitely agree with the whole spot burning thing. I'll do everything in my power to assist customers, whether they're first time, say, just getting a line wet, or if they're very experienced anglers from out of town and say, hey, I'm just trying to catch some fish here, help me out. I feel like I'm doing a disservice saying, hey, man, I just caught fish on 9th Street, right up the street from the shop. Head up there and fish right now. Because I might go there knowing that I think there's fish there and get the skunk. And why should I tell him to go there just because I think there's fish and send him a wild goose chase when he might have thought, hey, let me go check out this random street. And he might have stumbled right up on him.
Yeah.
You know?
I just feel like even from my experience, like, yeah, it's great if someone tells me, like, where I can go to find fish. But, like, if I know why those fish are going to be there, I'll know, like, that's what's going to make me a better angler in the long run.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to put those pieces together. And that's really what makes it so much more rewarding, that you actually figured it out. You know, you set the time out. You kind of said, hey, I'm focusing on this area, this time, these lures, put the time in and whipped them out there and got some bites.
Yeah, another thing that you just touched on was actually like putting the time in to scout. We've been, doing some of our freshwater fishing before some of the bass showed up here, like early spring, and we've been, going to some new bodies of water, and some of our trips we found fish. A lot of trips we didn't find fish, but like we were going with the mindset like, all right, we have no idea what's here. We're just gonna figure out this lake or this pond or what.
Yes.
You put the time in, and you're not necessarily bummed out that you didn't catch a fish that time. You feel like you learned, like, all right, well, if we come back here, I know I'm going to fish this area because of such and such, or, the scouting is a big part of rather just going. And then down the line, that's when you're going to catch the fish because you put that time in figuring out a spot and doing some scouting.
No, absolutely. It's something that I do somewhat regularly on my charters. I feel like I don't want to, let's say somebody called me up right now and say, hey, we're fishing tomorrow. I try to regularly fish even if I don't have a trip. So when somebody does call me, I'm ready. I'm not, I'll say the couch fisherman.
Right.
I'm not the one who's just waiting for the phone call. Oh, yeah, you want to fish tomorrow? Let's roll. Pack up my gear, and all of a sudden I'm scrambling trying to find fish that day. When the client's paying me, it's like that's not how it's supposed to work.
Right.
It's paying me because I'm supposed to be dialed in. But it's definitely something I like to do on a trip. I kind of refer to as prospecting. And, it's something that I find that it's super easy in I'll say in my world or my life, where if I head out and I stumble on fish early in a session, it really, really helps me out because I don't want to say leave a spot that has fish. I don't want to, like some wreck fishermen, and I'm not really a dialed in wreck fisherman. Some wreck fishermen will hit a spot and they'll be like, bang, 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 and they'll catch fish. And then all of a sudden, like, it might slow up a little bit. And rather than that captain thinking like, hey, it's like a little like a wave, like the fish are kind of coming and going, and maybe another wave will show up. They instantly kind of like, boop, boop, let's clean up, let's move, because they know they want to save that spot for tomorrow's trip, right, or the next.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't want to say I do that specifically, but there's something about me and kind of my mentality that if I get out on a good trip and we get out, a good bite within the first, let's say, a quarter or a third of the day, and it starts to fizzle out, and that's like, all right, the tide's fading. Is there another spot that we can look that I might not normally look if we weren't catching fish right now? And it's prospect, spot C and D that I was going to look at that day rather than B and C. I'll hit that third spot, that fourth spot that might be in my mind. Just something that I like to do.
That makes sense.
To kind of get, see what's out there.
Yeah, and you still have that chance that you might just light it up at spot C and D too. You know what I mean? Like,
It's amazing how it happens, right?
yeah,
So new man C21 says, have you ever used Google Maps to scout? So do you use Google Maps?
I use a version of either Google Earth or whatever different. I don't know if it's exactly Google Maps, but I use that all the time. Like
Just
almost every time. Yeah,
Yep.
check out the landscape. Sometimes if you use different ones, they'll have different times of the tide. So like, and it's always changing. It's every couple months they put a new photo or whatever. But like, there's certain ones that if you don't see exactly what you want to see if you look at Google Earth and then Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever and change the satellite view, they might show up a different time of the tide, and that right there just gives you two different views from overhead. But I use that very
Totally agree
often.
with you. Yeah, totally agree with you. So there's definitely a pointer to new Max C. I'm definitely a fan of using some satellite imagery. I also look at nautical charts for me. I mean, I don't know if lakes have, charts or maps, stuff that's it's mapped out. I'm sure maybe there are some things that you can maybe download
Yeah,
from the state or something like that.
there are some same way,
Yeah.
but I use that like
Do lakes change a lot? Like we have shifting sandbars here that change a lot
not.
on beaches and bays.
I would say not that often. I mean,
Yeah.
there's creeks that come in a storm, but I don't think they change near as much as the salt's getting weathered.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I use the nautical, the depth charts, and even with saltwater, like one spot that I thought might have some fish, I looked at the the depth chart, and I saw a drop off that otherwise I wouldn't have known was there.
Okay.
Just that day that I was going, and I'm like, all right, this is the spot we're gonna fish because I see that drop off, and
Yeah.
and that was just looking at a online map. I'd even just Google like this spot, depth chart or whatever, and
Yeah.
shows up. And
So you found that structure and then went there and caught him.
yeah,
That's
it
killer.
was a pleasant surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. So Anthony mentioned here, he says, been getting skunked a lot, laugh out loud. So I'm super bummed to hear that. I'll be honest, dude, I get skunked a lot too. It's definitely,
it's all part.
It's all part of the game, dude.
All part of the game, yep.
But
the thing is, if you're getting skunked, and you still can learn from that. Like it's not just like it's as a wasted trip. Like it's just a lot of factors into it. And
yeah, that's actually what Blake just mentioned. Lots of factors for sure. Time is success. So definitely, Anthony, don't give up, man. It's early in the season, bro. It's basically just May. May is an awesome month. It's my favorite month. It's actually something I typed up for this blog. I'm a really big fan of May. One, I'm born in May, but more than that is there's so many different species that kind of come together.
Yeah, it's kind of like the kickoff.
Yeah, man, and everything's kind of like either feeding to spawn or just done spawning and getting on the feed. And there's lots of baits kind of roaming around. Not as much as the fall, but there's bait around. The water's warming up, and to me, there's a lot more fish or opportunity to catch more fish and bigger fish in the spring with less people. Right. I feel that the fall, there's more people already they like the warm outdoor weather, and they're transitioning to fall, and people fade off as it gets colder.
Yeah.
But with this, like, people don't jump in right away. They slowly build into like the population of anglers. So he says definitely been having a great time, but he's been hitting it hard. So Anthony, dude, if you need any assistance, bro, feel free to send messages. After the thing, maybe we can chat sometime. And you don't need to share exactly where you're fishing with me. I don't know your secret spots, but maybe we can try to put some pieces together. Maybe we can figure out the puzzle virtually.
Just some techniques and stuff. Sometimes that makes all the difference. You could be in a spot that has fish, and your technique's just slightly off or something, and that could be. Or if you're using a bucktail, it's too heavy, and you're dragging the bottom instead of letting it fall slowly through the zone.
No, for sure.
Catching fish and not catching fish some nights.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes the customers will bring their kind of, I'll say, rigging. I mean, you can catch fish from super cheap tackle, and you can catch fish on really expensive tackle. To each his own. But sometimes I see some rigging with say the line and leaders and clips and terminal tackle. There was a question way back there that asked about clips. I'm not sure if somebody jumped on a message, but I kind of saw it, and I was going to say something, missed it. But there's something that I find that I can help out customers with very well, which is simplifying of rigging and the elimination of tying knots directly.
Yeah.
Like you would say you almost primarily always use clips.
Yeah, pretty much any time that's possible, which
Yeah,
is probably 99% of the time. You use, tactical angler clips.
absolutely. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. Definitely, Alberto's clips are the real deal. So yeah, I just think there's a lot of customers that spend a lot of time fumbling around tying stuff up. Sometimes I see some really wonky leaders, like swivels and clips to swivels and clips, like all these chains of different things, and it just sometimes to look at, I'm like, whoa, man, like let's cut this off and start from
Simplify
scratch.
it, yeah.
Yeah, simplify it, and it's amazing what that will do.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one thing I like feel like it's a good thing to say is like people are doing that, like they don't realize that that's not the way to do it, or like instead of like, bashing someone or making fun, just you kind of just, you know, give them some knowledge that
yeah,
you got that from somewhere many years ago. Just show them like, hey, try this, or just try and show them the right way to do it instead of bashing them for
yeah.
something that they thought that was okay to do or they thought it was the right way to begin with. But
Yeah, no, for sure. That's kind of how everybody learns, right?
yeah, exactly.
You're going to spend a lot of time to learn every little thing, and in a lifetime, you're not going to get it all.
Right.
Or you're going to fish with some people, some friends, family, neighbors, say acquaintances on social media. You can learn from everybody, whether they're a very experienced angler or maybe a newbie. I mean, everybody can kind of feed off each other.
Yeah.
And it's something that I see more so now than years ago because of social media. People share some photos and comments, hey, buddy, awesome fish. Next thing you get talking, and then, hey, what lure did you catch that on? Oh, I never heard of that. Oh, how do you fish it? And it's not about the spot always. It's, you might be fishing here and I might be fishing there and somebody else might be a state away. And we can all kind of put our heads together and still catch fish in those different areas by just using some of those fundamental kind of theories and ideas.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like even like I'm talking to guys that been in it a lot longer than I have been. Like with Fred the other day, like I feel like I got so much knowledge out of you guys, like Instagram live feed. Like I was like ready to watch it again and take some notes. You know what I mean? Like guys that at any time I'm talking to guys like either you or Fred or Alberto or whoever it may be, like guys that have been doing much longer than me and have more experience, especially different areas. Like I'm picking their brains. Like I want to learn more just from like our conversation, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's you can probably see the passion, like
For sure.
see that, and I feel like I can never stop learning. I'm always like reaching for a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more, a little bit more.
It's also cool to see the passion. Like I have a strong passion for sharing, right? Like, so, I mean, I sell bait and tackle all day. I mean, majority of my days is consumed by emails and messages with customers, but I feel that, if I don't do that, it's been something that we've done forever. I mean, we started an online fishing report. Somebody asked about fishing report again, just because you weren't at the beginning of the video. Maybe just jumped on fishinglbi.com, check it out. But we started that in 1997 or 1998, which seems like so long ago. But we really started with the idea that, we're a bait and tackle shop. We're not, Dick's or Walmart. I mean, you can go buy a pack of gulp anywhere. And you can buy a rod and reel online just about anywhere. Well, certain ones. But putting the equation together isn't always as easy as walking to Walmart and grabbing, let's say you needed, I don't know, some hangers and some paper towels. And, oh, yeah, I need a pack of gulp. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just randomly thinking. Sorry, we don't sell hangers or paper towels. I mean, if you're in desperate need of paper towels or even toilet paper, we might be able to help you out. But, I mean, that being said, like, we're not the convenience store that has, bubble gum and say cigarettes and soda, but we've got knowledge, all of our guys. And to me, it's a team. Cedar on Lures, for anybody who doesn't know, that's Blake. He's been working in the shop for many years. Super dialed in, awesome wood craftsman, locals, lived around here, knows the bay, the ocean, knows inshore, offshore, everything in between, from fishing docks, bridges, sod banks, any species, you name it, Blake's caught it. And probably some big ones. Max is another guy. I think he's on here. He's been working for us for a long time. He's all dialed in. to me, that's one of the advantages you get with Fisherman's Headquarters or my tackle shop. We're passionate about fishing, and that passion, you're passionate about going fishing, right? I am too, but I'm also very, very passionate about sharing to help someone go fishing,
Right.
whether it's their first time or their, 1,000th trip or something like that.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd go on my spiel about that a little bit.
No, I feel the same way. Like I've stopped in the shop a few times, plenty of times, and I feel like all those guys in there are good buddies of mine. Every time I'm in there, they're friendly and always ready to start talking. Sharing knowledge, sharing stories, whatever. Pretty much. I mean, at one time we were in there probably for 2 hours talking to Blake.
Oh, cool.
All kinds of stuff. Just
did you take some notes, bro?
Yeah, of course.
You probably should have, or you should have put your phone on like auto record, dude, and just recorded the whole thing.
A lot of knowledge, though.
Yeah, no, dude. Sometimes, man, you get talking with somebody, and you kind of get rolling. You know what I mean? You just personalities kind of just click, and next thing you know, it just starts the back and forth starts going, and you never know what you're going to hear, man.
Yeah.
Something that he may have picked up from somebody years ago or learned from spending, say, 5 nights in a row getting skunked, but all of a sudden he figured it out. Sometimes you pick that up, man. It's priceless.
Yeah, Blake looks like he remembers that.
So someone here, so JB Wald 9 says, "Are you the owner of Fisherman's Headquarters?" So no, I'm not. My father is. Guess you consider me the general manager. My father bought the business in 1984. So it's a family business. Some other messages. Customer service 100. Thank you so much. So I've been doing curbside for 6 weeks. You guys appreciate it, dude. Absolutely. Thank you for your business. It's everybody doing curbside that's kind of keeping us in business. That and web orders. We've been selling online for many, many years. We're nowhere near a big, big name online, but we ship a bunch of orders, sometimes 10, 20 a day, sometimes a lot more. Some days we're cranking 50 out and such. A couple people, shout out to Lutzy and Willie. Thank you so much for cranking orders. Sometimes it's tough, man, to make ends meet, but right now the curbside and the mail order is what's keeping us alive. So thank you to all of our customers. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, if anybody has questions, send them, reach out. I'm stoked. We've got a bunch of messages this whole time. We've been kind of kicking back, talking, kind of just talking fishing, really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good.
Another thing I wanted to say is, like, if guys that are getting into the sport, or even just guys that have been into it and just feel like I'm just not as successful as I'd like to be, like, if you can afford it, don't hesitate to hire a guide or go on a charter, or even if you do it more than once, like, you're going to learn so much from those guys that spent so much time figured it out, that your next trip or even the rest of your life, you're going to know that, like, I feel like that's money well spent if you go with a guide that's willing to teach you what they know. Obviously, it's not everything, but it's just a matter of, like, hey, I know that he's going to show me how to catch fish and how we're doing it, why we're doing it, this time, this tide. Like, if you can afford that, definitely go that route, even if it's one time or if it's 2 or 3, 4 times, and then you'll start picking up what they, all the stuff that they're teaching you. You'll be a better angler the rest of your life from that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, man. I learned a lot from other people. So I appreciate that. Shout out to the guides and captains, because right now with this whole COVID-19 thing, they're all out of business. So, dude, the 2-minute warning popped up a minute ago. So we got like seconds left. So I'm going to log out now.
Okay.
But I really appreciate you jumping on, dude. I also appreciate everybody, that kind of sent messages in and kind of shared some love in this whole say, hour talk.
Right. I appreciate it, man. I feel like we still got like another hour left. I guess we have to do it again sometime. I feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah, buddy. All right, bro. Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Have a great night. Later on.
See ya.
Thank you.